Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review. And today we are taking a look at the brand new Mafex X-Men Gambit. And damn it, I'm going to be honest with you, I've been kind of stressed out about taking a look at this figure because I'm kind of nervous. I have really high expectations for this guy. Gambit, this Mafex Gambit has been my most anticipated figure for the year. I've been so excited about it ever since it was announced, and it looks really good. A lot of people that have been reviewing it have been saying that it's good, but man, I think I'm setting this guy up to fail because I have such high expectations. I'm a huge Gambit fan. He was my favorite X-Men character when I was a kid, and I've never been quite satisfied with any of the Gambit figures that have come out. The last one that I really loved was probably the Toy Biz Series 4 Marvel Legends Gambit, and as you can see, this figure does look pretty old. He's still awesome, but we need a new Gambit. And Hasbro has given us a pretty nice one, but it had a plastic jacket, so it wasn't quite right. The Mezco one is cool, but he's got that armor chest plate. The Revoltech one is trash. And there's just, I feel like every time a Gambit figure comes out, it's like, oh yeah, this is cool, but this one part of it is not very good. Oh, the jacket's plastic. Oh, the chest plate, whatever. I'm always left unsatisfied as a huge Gambit fan. And I'm really hoping that this Mafex one is gonna be the one that makes me happy to have a Gambit figure. The one Gambit figure that I really, really love. Possibly a coffin figure, right? But let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with the awesome packaging. Like I just said in my Magneto review, I'm a big fan of the Mafex Marvel comic book packaging that they use. I think they do a really cool job of making it look like an old school comic book. We got some artwork of Gambit right here in the corner. It says Marvel 6-inch 131 Mafex. Right here it says Gambit X-Men. We get a shot of the figure itself. On the side of the box we get the figure posed up looking badass. And then down here we have a pink X logo or magenta, whatever color that is. I'm probably going to call it pink this whole review. Whatever. Up here we get some little artwork of Gambit. On the back we get a look at the figure posed up doing his thing with all of his accessories. And just look how badass that looks. Like, is it even possible for the figure to be as good as these pictures are showing us? I guess we'll see. On this side of the box, we get a look at Gambit doing his thing, and it says Gambit X-Men. And that's about it for the packaging. So let's go ahead and open this up and take a look. All right, so here he is right out of the box. And man, I think they did it. I think they gave us the perfect Gambit figure. Like, I can't really find anything that I dislike about this figure or anything that I wish was different. There's small little imperfections with like some of the paint work, just like a little things that aren't quite right, or maybe just like a loose thread here and there on the jacket. But aside from little things like that, this thing is it's perfect, man. Mafex did it. They gave me a Gambit that I'm completely happy with. There's nothing on here where I go like, oh, I wish this was different, or there's nothing I would change. There's nothing that I dislike about this figure, man. They really, really killed it. Let's go ahead and take a look at this freaking beautiful piece of art. Look at that. Came out so nice. So starting off with the jacket, he does have a bendy wire that goes along the lining right here, and then it also is in the collar, and it's also on the back side. That's why this kind of looked funny, because I had it like folded up. But yeah, so he's got bendy wires all over the place in this jacket, and that's awesome because then when you're like posing him around and you want to get him in like fighting poses or dramatic poses, you could kind of make it look like the jacket is kind of like flying in the wind or whatever. You could do all kinds of great stuff with the bendy wire. And the bendy wire is really solid. Doesn't feel like it's going to snap anytime soon. Feels like it's going to hold up very well. So they did a great job with that. And the jacket looks really, really good. Let's go ahead and remove it real quick, just so we could get a look at Remy without the jacket, because honestly, even without the jacket, this figure is freaking awesome. I like this look for Gambit, so I love that we have the option to take off the jacket, and I love how everything has kind of like a metallic kind of finish to it. Kind of makes it all look armorized a little bit, which that's what I always imagined his chest area was some kind of like skin tight armor. So this figure kind of portrays that idea very well. So it looks very good. I love the shiny blues, the shiny, I know what this is in pink. Is it magenta? Whatever color this is. I love the way it looks. I love the shine to it. And man, my only regret is that I didn't buy two of these guys because I would want to display him like this. But you know, he's Gambit, so he's got to have the jacket. But man, this came out really nice. And then taking a closer look at Remy, starting off with his jacket, and then we'll take the jacket off and take a look at the rest of the figure. But I think they did a really good job with this. As you can see, we have some nice stitching on the jacket itself. All that looks really good. I love the way that they stitch these lines on here because a lot of times when we see Gambit in the comics or in the animated series, his jackets do have these lines on the inside. So I like that they use stitching to capture that look, and I think it came out pretty good. And we do have some nice stitching in here. And then the collar does have some really good stitching work as well. It all looks very clean and tight. Doesn't look loose or like it's gonna come apart or anything. It looks very good. And then we do have these buttons on the shoulder. Same thing over here. We've got another button. And I do have one little loose string here, which I'm going to have to cut down or something. And whenever I get a figure, a 1/12 scale figure that has soft goods, I always kind of expect to find little things like this and just little things I need to like clean up a little bit. So it's not a big deal at all. I'll chop that off and be good. And then same thing in here. I do have like a fold of fabric that I could kind of see even when the jacket's on. So I'm going to have to clean up that. Aside from little things like that, there is a couple of loose threads and some crazy folding work on the inside, but you can't see any of it when he has the jacket on. This one right here is pretty much the only one you could see. So once I take care of that, the jacket will look perfectly fine. But as it is, man, this is a really good jacket. And the lining of the coat does have a bendy wire that's held in place by some really nice stitching work, as you could see. And it's pretty much throughout the lining of the jacket. It's all very clean and very good looking. So I think they did a great job with the stitching work and the tailoring of the jacket. Some people have said that the jacket looks a little big, but I think it looks perfect. I mean, I always imagined that the jacket on Gambit was kind of big, you know, it's a big, huge jacket. So, and the fact that it's big leaves enough room in there that you could fully articulate the figure without any problems. So that's another positive to it being a little bit bigger. But man, I think the jacket looks great. It doesn't have a belt like we sometimes see on Gambit, but that's all right. It would have been cool if it was on there because it would have helped capture some dynamic poses. But as it is, this figure is pretty damn dynamic, especially with the bendy wire in the jacket. You could really make it look like he's in motion when you're posing him around. So I really like the way the jacket came out. But let's go ahead and take that off and take a look at the figure, because this figure looks just as awesome with the jacket off as he does with it on. So let's take a look at that. I've always been a big fan of the way Gambit looks without his jacket, because I feel like it's a bit more of a superhero type of look, but then he just throws the jacket on just to kind of be a rebel, you know. But I really love the look of this. I love the colors. Another thing about Gambit, like I've always been kind of confused by his outfit, like, or his costume, like, I mean his uniform, whatever the hell you want to call it. I've always been a little thrown off because I was never quite sure what the torso was made out of. Is it armor? Is it like skin tight, or what's going on, you know? Because you can see his muscles, but then it seems to protect him. Anyways, I love the way Gambit looks. I love the colors. I like the blue that we have in there. The pinkish color, or whatever you want to call it, looks really nice. I like how they gave him a shine to it, so it comes across as a bit metallic, and I think that's awesome. We have these rectangles on the arms that are actually sculpted on, so those look good. And same thing down here in the legs. These are all sculpted on. And we've got the awesome looking boots. Really nice. There is a little bit of mist paint on the collar piece. As you could see, there's a little bit of blue on the pink there. And same thing down here. Not a huge deal, but you know, if you're inspecting the figure, you might find little things like that. Aside from that, I think it looks good. I love the way the blue looks on the collar too, and on the shoulders. And I like the way they did the shoulders. Like, these things just like move to cover up the articulation gaps, you know, so that is awesome. And it just pretty much looks good any way you put it. The hands, I feel, could have been done a little bit better, because as you could see, the paint on the hands isn't all that crisp and clean. It's a little fuzzy. So I think they could have done a little bit better with the hands, and just, you know, some QC right in here. Like, this could have been done a little bit cleaner and sharper. But, you know, it's not a big deal. Again, it's not something that you would necessarily see when you're just looking at the figure. But when you're in close inspecting, looking for flaws, you might come across a few little things like that. And then the head sculpt is pretty much perfect, in my opinion. I think that they did a great job with it. I love the 5 o'clock shadow. I like the way the eyes look. It would have been cool if the eyes were all black with just red pupils. But as it is, I think this looks awesome. And I do like the way they lined the red with black. So that came out nice. And the hair looks really good too. We have like a, I guess you could call it like a brown burgundy kind of color. But then it does have like a black wash in there to bring out the details. And I think it looks awesome. I like how it's kind of swayed to the side. Again, adding to the dynamic look of the figure. So really good stuff. But again, that 5 o'clock shadow is perfection. So they did a great job with the way this figure looks. Even though he does have a couple of little paint imperfections here and there, nothing for me to cry about or to obsess over. I think in general this is a beautiful looking figure with or without the jacket. And for accessories, we do have a lot of great stuff, including 6 different sets of hands. So let's start off with those. First off, we have a pair of fists, and then we have a set of gripping hands that could be used to hold on to his bow staff. Next up, we have a set of flat open hands. Then we have a set of relaxed hands. And then here we have a set of card holding hands. And then for the final set of hands, these are open hands with these big, huge pegs in the center of them. And those pegs, of course, are used to mount these big, huge card throwing effects. And we'll take a closer look at those in just a second, but those are awesome. Aside from the hands, he does come with an extra head. This head here does look really good. Looks just as good as the previous one in terms of sculpt. And the only difference between this one and the one we've already looked at is the facial expression. He does look a little bit more mad right here. You could see his teeth. And like I said, both of these head sculpts came out really nice. So I like that they included 2. And then he also comes with a bunch of different energy effects. So first off, we have a single card that kind of has like a trail coming behind it, so you can make it look like he's throwing it. And then he has a couple of cards that all look like they're powered up and he's getting ready to do something with them. And these next effects are really awesome. They're these little energy effects that you could put on the end of his bow staff, and I don't think I've seen that before on a Gambit figure, so I do like that. And then last but not least, we have these effects. And as you could see, this is pretty insane. These are very cool accessories. The only problem is with this one in particular, the plastic is a little heavy. So you have to have this part kind of resting on something. Otherwise, his wrist is just going to kind of like flop around because these things are like solid plastic. So it would have been nice if they made these things out of like hollow plastic. That way he didn't really have that much trouble holding them. Because if you try to get him to hold the cards like throwing them this way, then they're really just going to fall down. But thankfully, he does come with another set, which are a little bit lighter, and they're easier to kind of deal with, and you could do a little bit more with them because of the weight. And I love the weight. I love these effects a lot, actually. These are very cool. You can make it look like Gambit's throwing cards at enemies or whatever. Even these, even though they give less trouble than the other ones, they're still kind of a little too heavy for the hands. But you could like lean part of it on the leg here, and it works out just fine. But look at that. That's very, very cool. And then just in case anyone is curious, we're going to go ahead and do a couple of jacket swaps. So first off, here we have the Mezco Gambit with the Mafex jacket. And I think that looks pretty good, actually. So that's cool. But let's go ahead and see what the Mafex Gambit looks like with a couple of other different jackets that I have laying around. First off, let's go ahead and do the Mezco one. So here we have the Mezco jacket. Let's go ahead and see how easy this goes on. This is the first time I've tried to put this jacket on this figure. And I know some people prefer like a leather jacket for Gambit. Personally, I don't. I like the way the jacket that he comes with looks. But, I mean, this works out. His fists are a little big, so they're having trouble getting in there. But there we go. So that looks good if you want a leathery type of look for his jacket. I think it fits on him pretty well. Still allows his arms to move around and stuff. And yeah, that works out pretty good if that's something you're interested in. Personally, I prefer the way the Mafex jacket looks compared to the Mezco one. I don't know. The Mezco one looks good, but I think like the leathery type of look in this scale doesn't come across all that well all the time. And then right here we have the Marvel Legends Series 4 jacket. And let's see. This one, the color on this is much darker than the jacket that the Mafex version comes with. But let's check it out. I think that looks pretty good. I like the dark color actually. So that's an option if that's something you want to do. Ooh, yeah, that looks dope. And then I have one more jacket that I want to try. And this is the jacket from the Mafex. I'm sorry, not the Mafex, the Mezco. The Mezco Commissioner Gordon. And ooh, this is gonna look dope. I could already tell right here. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, that looks nice. The jacket looks all high class and high quality. The Toy Biz Series 4 jacket looks a little beat up and old, but this one looks dope if you want like a jacket that's a little bit darker than the one that he comes with. Oh man, yeah, I like that a lot actually. And we have the belt here, so you can do your thing, but he doesn't have a bendy wire in the coat lining, so it's not as dynamic as the other one. But the belt kind of helps out with that because it does have a bendy wire in there. So yeah, you got some options here if you have different jackets. For some size comparisons, I have a bunch of figures that I'm going to get in here next to Remy. So let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with him alongside a couple of Marvel Legends Gambit figures. On the left, we have the Hasbro Marvel Legends Retro Gambit, and on the right, we have the Toy Biz Series 4 Gambit. And I like both of these figures, especially the Toy Biz one. That one's always going to hold a special place in my heart, even with its flaws. And I do like the Hasbro one, but you know, I'm just not a big fan of the big plastic jacket. But if you want to remove that jacket and maybe get a custom soft goods jacket, the body underneath is really nice. Hasbro did a great job on that one. But yeah, I love the way all three of these look together, and I do plan on doing some type of comparison video with a bunch of different Gambit figures. And then here we have a couple more Gambits. Both of these are kind of stylized. On the left, we have the Mezco 112 Collective, and on the right, we have the Egg Attack from Beast Kingdom. And I really like this Beast Kingdom one. I think they did a great job with it, but obviously it's very stylized and cartoonish, you know. And the Mezco one is really good too, but I think that armor chestplate thing kind of hurt it. I feel like they could have probably hidden some articulation in there. But I think it's a great looking figure. And then next up, we have him alongside the Mafex Wolverine with the custom head from Casting Cave. I'll leave a link to his information in the description below. Make sure you're following him on Instagram. He does some amazing work, and he's a really great guy. And then on the opposite side, we have the Mafex Cyclops. And just look how awesome these three figures look together. I really hope that Mafex continues to give us Marvel comic book figures, specifically X-Men, because they are just killing it. I know we have Psylocke on the way. I think that's going to be an amazing figure. I can't wait for her to come out. And I would love to see them do Nightcrawler. I think they would make a really good Nightcrawler, especially because of the way that they handle articulation. Let me know in the comments what are some X-Men characters you would like to see Mafex do. I mean, honestly, I'd be down for any and all X-Men characters, but I think Nightcrawler specifically would really benefit from the way that Mafex does articulation. And if you're not all in on the Mafex X-Men stuff and you just want to have a Gambit to put with your Marvel Legends, I think he works for that too, because here he is next to the 3-pack Love Triangle, Wolverine, and Cyclops, and I think he looks great next to them. And then now here we have Gambit alongside a couple of his enemies. On the left, we have the Marvel Legends Bishop, and I think that's a really nice figure, but I feel like Hasbro could do a better one. So I would like to see them revisit that character, or I would like to see Mafex do a Bishop. That would be awesome. And then on the opposite side, we have the Marvel Legends Mr. Sinister, and that thing is freaking amazing. Like, I haven't looked at that figure in quite a long time, and just right now I was checking it out and I was like all impressed. I was like, damn, Hasbro killed it on this one. So that's a really nice figure, and I think he looks good next to Gambit. And growing up, Gambit was my favorite X-Men character, but my second favorite X-Men character was Beast. So here we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Beast, and a lot of people say they want a Mafex Beast, but I don't know like what they could do to top this Legends one, because this Legends one came out amazing. I mean, they could give it a different head sculpt, because obviously the head sculpt that you see on this figure right now isn't the head sculpt that it came with. This is a custom head sculpt that I purchased from May's Shelf. So, I mean, throwing that on there, like, it's a pretty much a perfect Beast, you know? Like, I don't really see what Mafex could do to improve on it. But, I mean, they have some opportunity with giving him better head sculpts, because I feel like Hasbro really didn't do a great job with the Beast head sculpts, but the body is damn near perfect. And then on the opposite side, we have the Revoltech Cable with a custom head from Figure Chef on Instagram. He hooked me up with these head sculpts, and he really did an incredible job, and he saved this figure for me because I wasn't a big fan of the head that it came with. So Yeah, there you go. I'll leave his information in the description below so you could go check him out. I think he still has some more of these cable heads available. And then next up, we have him alongside the love of his life, the Hasbro Marvel Legends Retro Rogue. And I think this is a great figure, but I would love to see Mafex tackle Rogue. Judging by the way Psylocke looks, I think they could do a pretty good job with female characters. So they did such a great job on Gambit. It would be nice to have a Rogue that's just as good. But this Marvel Legends one is awesome. So if they never get around to it, I'm more than happy to have her hang out with him because she looks good. On the opposite side, we have the 2-pack Storm. I wanted to throw her in here because that's Gambit's homegirl, so I thought it'd be cool. And then for the final size comparison, of course, we have Gambit alongside the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man and Marvel Legends Bucky just like Cat. Pretty much every other Mafex figure, Gambit does have some really nice articulation. I'm going to go ahead and show you what the arms could do while he has the jacket on, and then we'll remove it and talk about the rest of the body. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the jacket really doesn't hinder the articulation all that much because obviously the jacket is open and it just kind of moves around as you need it. But wearing the jacket, he can get his arms up to the side a really good amount. You could bring his arms forward almost pretty much all the way above his head, or his hands all the way above his head. The jacket really doesn't bother it at all. So that's nice. And then, you know, he's got the double jointed elbow, which still gets a good bend even wearing the jacket. So yeah, if you want to, you could pretty much do anything you need to do with Gambit's arms while he's wearing the jacket. You could have him cocking his arm back. You could have his arms in front of him. Yeah, see that? The jacket really doesn't get in the way at all. You could have his arms come out this way, like if he's throwing a card or something. So yeah, it's nice to see that the jacket doesn't hinder the articulation whatsoever. So good stuff there, but let's go ahead and remove it, and then we'll take a look at the rest of the body here. So starting off at the head, you are able to look left to right. He's got movement at the upper neck and at the lower neck. So using both of those, we get some really nice tilt. Look at that. Damn. Man, that's really good. And then he could look up to about right there, which isn't too bad at all. And then he could look down to right there, which is great. So really good movement at the head and the neck. And then for the torso, he does have a diaphragm cut. We don't really get all that much movement out of this diaphragm cut, but it does go side to side a little bit. Not a whole lot, but we get a little bit of wiggling there. And it does move left to right. And then you could just kind of move it in all kinds of different directions, but there's not a whole lot of range there. But it kind of makes up for it at the waist because this waist joint is crazy. Look at the look at the crunch on this. That's mostly from the waist. Oh man. That's really good. And then it does go to the side a really good amount. Then you could bring it back. And you can also spin side to side. Oh, it's a little tight there. So if you want, you're going to get most of your left to right from the diaphragm cut there. So that's cool. But you can move at the ball joint at the waist too. But for the most part, the ball joint is really used to get him to crunch forward and move side to side and do all kinds of good stuff. So really good movement at the torso for Gambit. I was really surprised with this, with the ball joint at the waist. I wasn't expecting that much crunch forward. That's really nice. And then for the arms, we do have like the standard Mafex butterfly type of joint. And these are always really nice, especially if you want to get Gambit in like punching poses or like boxing poses or whatever. You could do some great stuff with these type of shoulders. You get his arms in front of him like he's punching somebody. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the way that Mafex does their shoulders. A lot of fun to play with for sure. And then he does have a ball joint at the shoulder, so his arms can go all the way around. They could come out to the side. A really nice amount. And the shoulders kind of help bring them up too, so look at that. Crazy range at the shoulders here. And then he does have a upper bicep swivel. There we go. And then here we have those double jointed elbows again. And as you can see without the jacket, the range on the elbows is really crazy. He does have ball joints at the wrist, so you could spin them around, move them around, do whatever you want. He's got a hinge, and then it also spins at the hand. For the legs, we have drop down hips, so you could bring them down and bring his leg forward a really nice amount. And when you crunch them forward, you could get some crazy kicking action out of that. There we go. Boom. Very nice. Then you could bring them out to the side to about right there. Look at that. Can't really bring him back all that much, but that's okay. Then he does have upper thigh swivel in there. And then let's see what else we have going on. Of course, we've got double jointed knees. Bam. So if you want to have him knee someone in the face, that's definitely possible. Or he might be able to knee himself in the face. So pretty good bend at the knee there. And then at the foot, we do have a ball joint, so we get some swivel. We can bring his foot forward to right there, bring him up to right there. And as always, Mafex has that extra little piece of plastic that comes down and covers the ball joint. I always appreciate that. I think that's a really dope little addition to the way they do the articulation. And then he does have mid-foot movement or toe articulation, whatever you want to call this. It's not quite at the toes. It's like in the middle of the foot. But yeah, there we go. Some really crazy articulation on this guy. I mean, he's got pretty much the same articulation as like, your standard Mafex comic book figure like Spider-Man or Wolverine or Cyclops. He's got all the same articulation, but some of the range on this figure really caught me by surprise, especially at the waist and at the shoulders. I really wasn't expecting to get so much movement out of it. All right, guys, so I think it's time to get out of here. I'm kind of at a loss for words with this figure, to be honest with you, because it's just so damn good. They really killed it. I think it's obvious how awesome this figure is. Everybody who's reviewed it has loved it. I've heard a lot of people say that it's like the best figure of the year. There's been a lot of really good figures this year, and I'm such a big Gambit fan that I don't want to just kind of say that right now, like, oh, it's the best figure of the year, because I don't want like my love for Gambit to cloud my judgment when it comes to like great action figures. But this thing is just like, it's like the perfect Gambit figure for real. Like they just did such a great job with it. Yes, there's a couple of little paint imperfections here and there, but nothing major. Those things definitely could have been done a little cleaner, but as far as like the figure itself, like they just did such a great job. There's so much good stuff going on here, starting with the articulation. Like, he's so much fun to play with. He's got a bunch of great and functional articulation that looks good. Nothing like stands out, nothing's ugly. All the articulation is integrated into the sculpt very well. He looks amazing with the jacket on. It definitely captures that old school comic book classic, extreme 90s look that Gambit had. Once you take the jacket off, the figure is equally as awesome. He looks so cool without the jacket, and I'm having a lot of fun playing with him without the jacket, more fun than I expected, but I just really like the way he looks when you remove the jacket. He's got a bunch of really cool accessories. I do feel like the accessories could have been done a little bit different. I do like what we have going on here, but I feel like the material that they used on the bigger accessories is a little heavy, so I do wish it was a little lighter. But aside from that, he came with a bunch of incredible accessories. All those effects are awesome. Then he's got a bunch of different hands, an extra head. I think another head would have been cool, maybe something with him smirking. I think that would have been awesome. But as it is, both of these head sculpts are very, very nice. And yeah, man, just in general, this is a really, really great figure. And don't be surprised if it's very high on my top 10 list at the end of the year. This guy was definitely my most anticipated figure of the year, and he did not disappoint. If anything, he exceeded my expectations. He's just a really nice figure, so I'm really happy with the way it came out. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. Be sure to leave a comment on this video if you enjoyed it. Let me know whether or not you like this video. Let me know what you think about this Gambit. I'm still on my mission to get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and every time that you guys leave a like or a comment or any type of engagement on the videos, it really does help. So please continue to do that. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Peace.